HealthWish is a series of conversations about the state of healthcare in New York City's fabulous fifth borough, Staten Island. Our goal is to raise issues, raise awareness, and raise health, because when we raise health, we raise everyone. Hey Staten Island, let's not say goodbye to 2022 until we look at some of the major investments and upgrades SIUH made last year to raise the quality of care available to all Staten Islanders. The hospital's executive director, Dr. Brahim Ardolic, and medical director, Dr. Nicole Berwald, walk us through an amazing year that only sets the stage for better things to come. This is episode 2 of 2. Give it a listen.
And I'll mention something where it's important for Staten Island University Hospital to serve the community when we talk about the youth joining and getting reinvigorated in healthcare professions. In 2022, we did quite a bit to help show the youth of Staten Island where the possibilities might be for them in healthcare. Do you want to speak to some of those programs?
We're incredibly proud of our pipeline programs, and they actually hit upon several different groups of individuals. So I was seeing patients in Princess Bay on Thursday, and the first patient of the morning was being seen by another doctor and needed to come to North for a life-saving procedure. We called EMS, and who happens to walk in? One of our very first EMS scholarship recipients, who points out who she is, and then she proceeded to transport the patient to the North site. So if you think about it, somebody who wouldn't have been able to afford that EMS program actually ended up helping us save someone's life. But just the fact that it was a scholarship recipient meant so much to me. It's something I'm incredibly proud of, because this is an opportunity for us to actually make a difference in these people's lives, who then can make a difference in so many people's lives.
And it comes full circle, and you had full faith and trust in this transport team, and you knew they were in good hands. You knew how they were trained. So I really love that story about our EMT. I know we're out in the community in other ways, in other educational ways, and we've gotten ourselves, and hopefully you can give the community a little bit more sense of this back into the schools and working with our schools.
We've been running Project Search with the Hungerford School for many years now, and that's an amazing program. We give opportunities and life lessons to an incredible group of individuals. And we've also finally, whether it be through the P-TECH program at Port Richmond or other programs now in multiple high schools through Staten Island, it's been a tremendous opportunity to get our providers out into these schools and to demonstrate to these young folks how wonderful a career in healthcare can actually be. And also that a career in healthcare isn't necessarily just being a nurse or being a doctor. And I think that's wonderful. Healthcare is one of the fastest growing industries in America. And I think these kids have to be aware of the fact that there are wonderful opportunities here. Now throw Staten Island back into it. And the more you can instill in these young folks that this is a great place to come back and do your career, the more important we become in their own minds, and the more opportunities we have to bring some of these really talented people back to Staten Island.
Yeah, I think it goes back to this thought related to the Black Men in White Coats documentary, which we've shared internally and also with our community and with high schools, that if you don't see it, you can't be it. You have to be exposed to know it's a possibility for your future. And going into the schools in this way makes your mind change, right? You saw something now, so you have to see it to know you can be it.
100%. It was really amazing to see those young people there, really seeing something in the people on the stage that they could be. It was a tremendous thing. But the biggest shame to me is a waste of talent. I truly believe the biggest reason to provide these opportunities to people is to increase the size of the talent pool that you're choosing from. Not giving a really smart kid an opportunity is one person who you can't bring back here as the next chief of neurosurgery 20 years from now, right? And that's just an extreme example, but that person could be there. So you give them these opportunities and you try to give them the encouragement, because that's one more kid that may come back and take care of me when I need to be taken care of in Staten Island.
Yeah, and I love it, right? We go out to help our community, and then in some ways we rely on the community helping us for some of the things we need to build and do.
We finally are able to get back out into our community, and it's really been wonderful to see that, you know, we can go back out and do our health screenings. We can go back out and start these relationships again with people on the outside after really not having that for almost a full 18 months. We're doing amazing work with food insecurity between the Clementine Project, between supporting now multiple food banks that actually work through Staten Island, whether it's directly from Staten Island University Hospital or through our SIPPS subsidiary. Think about how many businesses on Staten Island raise money and give money back to charities that will never spend a dime on Staten Island. Part of the reason that we're trying to sit with our not-for-profits, and part of the reason that we're in this wonderful place is, you know, there are people that actually sit and donate money to museums all over the country, and yet don't support their local museum that has some of the greatest landscapes of this borough you could possibly imagine, and I'm sitting around them. But it's a perfect example of our community donates to healthcare causes that don't get spent on Staten Island. Our community donates to cultural causes that don't get spent on Staten Island. We have to bend that trend, bend that back towards us, and it's going to help every single Staten Islander. The more programs they have for your children on this campus, Snug Harbor, the better it is for you, right? The more healthcare I can provide and the more healthcare I can push forward into the community, the better it is for you. Get that dollar to be spent on Staten Island. It needs to be spent here because there's such a tremendous need that isn't being met, and without that money, we'll never truly get it met.
Yeah, and we think of the financial landscape we all live in, and just going back to the museum, to spend time here with your family and friends.
Amazing.
Keep it local. Amazing.
Amazing.
That's wonderful. So you just mentioned Princess Bay. So I know when we say Princess Bay, what we mean, but I'm not sure our community does.
Yeah, so what we used to call our South Side has been Princess Bay now for right around a year. That place that used to be a sleepy hospital in the South Shore that people would choose to not go to. And through the work of a few people, really survived all those years and took really good care of that community, but it never really had an identity. And it never really had something it was good at. I'm happy to report that our Princess Bay campus is now not only succeeding, but actually took care of 5,000 Staten Islanders, right? When you think about the fact that only 30,000 people or so were admitted on Staten Island this year, the fact that around 5,000 of that 30,000 came from Princess Bay, and on top of that, to actually now be able to say that it's a comprehensive joint program, and they're gonna do over 600 joints in that building, to have its own identity. And to now actually be in a situation where I have providers, I have physicians that are coming to me and saying, hey, I'm curious, do you think we can run this program out of Princess Bay? That is something that was completely unheard of just 2 years ago. And it's something that will continue to grow and has taken on a life of its own. I am incredibly proud of the women and men that actually run that place, and it continues to be something that will be a story that will make one of the most tremendous impacts in the healthcare of Staten Island for the next decade.
Yeah, and more than just those 5,000 patients, the 30,000 patients who walk through our emergency department doors and have entered through other avenues to get care at Princess Bay, it really has been really a pleasure to see it grow and change, which I've seen in just my almost 15 years with SIUH.
Incredible.
Really great. We've had a lot of other program growth, and we didn't really mention yet, that comes with people, right, to really bring our specialized programs where we need to be. So where would you see some of the most key and critical new positions or old positions with new faces, and where that development has gone?
So first, I think you have to start with the position of medical director. I mean, this is something that has been going on now for a few weeks internally, but most people don't know that Dr. Nicole Berwald, who's interviewing me today, is our brand new medical director. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's really an incredible thing. First, you don't change these positions often. Dr. Theodore Maniatis was our medical director for almost 2 decades. Ted did amazing work and protected this borough, and he's still taking care of folks on Staten Island. But to have a new medical director with her own vision of where she wants the institution to go medically, and also to, oh, by the way, be the first female medical director for our proud institution that's been around since the 1850s. It's really an incredible thing. So congratulations to you. I can't wait to see where you take our institution medically. I think it's going to be amazing to watch.
Well, thank you again. And it's the team that does it. And to take the spotlight off of me for a minute, let's talk about those other team members that we put into important roles this year.
So to name Ronit Gilad, our new chair of neurosurgery, we've invested so much in neuroscience over the last 2 years, whether it be a new neurological residency, whether it be a new neuro ICU. We have, across the spectrum, created something truly special in neuroscience. You can't have that without the procedural side. So to have the neurosurgical department go to now 5 subspecialty providers, providing the full gamut of care. And I can honestly tell you that we now have one of the most talented groups of neurosurgeons in the city of New York, period, that has advanced so much in the last 2 years. And a lot of it is based upon the leader. And Dr. Gilad, she's an amazing individual, has a storied career, took care of people in the military, and has developed this amazing team. Now you have, in cardiac care, we have a brand new chair of cardiothoracic surgery, and Dr. Irabarn, to come here and the level of gravitas that he has nationally to bring a known figure in cardiac surgery to Staten Island and to help continue to develop that program. I can take you to cancer, where we actually have a new interim director of our new cancer center, Dr. Brashatsky. Again, he'll be moving into a new building that I know we're going to be talking about in a second, as we actually look to lay the groundwork of what the future of cancer services look like on Staten Island. And that's just to name a few, right? We brought subspecialists in so many key areas, and invested in bread and butter medicine across the board, right? So the reality is, most people, thank God, that are listening to me don't need those services. But the only way you know if you do is if you access the primary specialists and the primary care docs that actually most of us go to, and those are the people that help us identify that we need to go to those places.
Yeah, and what I'll say is something you often say, and I'm surprised you didn't, is the real goal here is that we can deliver the highest level of care to all of our community members so that Staten Islanders don't have to leave Staten Island for care. And it takes building these programs and creating highest quality programs to ensure that we can deliver on that, which is our vision, right? That our Staten Islanders do not leave the island for care.
And the beautiful thing is, you know you're actually starting to get somewhere when other people start to say it, you don't have to say it yourself. So yes, I agree. It's the most important mission. People need to be able to get the same standard of care and not leave this borough. Without that, I think we have nothing.
So we can't do it just the people, right? We need our gadgets, our gizmos, our fun toys to get there. So maybe a little bit in 22 on technology, maybe about radiology, where I know we have really put a lot of energy.
This year was a big year, again, for investment of things you're going to see in 2023. If you don't lay the groundwork and invest in the things that actually your people need to do their job, the job doesn't get done. So we invested a lot in infrastructure this year, a lot in things you'll never see, boilers, air conditioners, and all these different things that we just need, and yet you'll never know you actually need except if the air conditioning didn't work. But where you're going to see the biggest investment, again, something that patients won't see, but our providers will see, is we made a huge investment in radiology. Multiple MRIs and CAT scans that are in the process of being upgraded to the most modern standard. And again, it brings our institution up to the modern and cutting edge in all of these areas so that we can provide the full gamut of radiological services. Because as you can imagine, the more heart, brain, and cancer work you do, the more you rely upon being able to provide the full gamut of imaging services.
Yeah, and imaging is tied to so many of our specialties. It's at the hub of the care for our cardiac patients, for our neuro cases, and many, many others. So really investing our time, energy, and money into those areas impacts so many services across the board for both acute and chronic care needs. So I think I really look forward to seeing what that brings us. Well, and you mentioned twice, because I did tell you I was going to bring this later into our conversation, our 2 new buildings. So we spent some time, a lot of this time today, talking about what we did in 2022, that reflective piece that lets us think of what we're going to build into the future. We touched on that a little bit, but there are 2 really big areas in 2023, which I think our community will see realized, and I look forward to. So please.
Yeah, so these are 2 major steps forward for healthcare on Staten Island. The Grapuso Women and Newborn Center, a tremendous step forward, not just the fact that you're going to get private rooms at no additional cost that we won't be charging for anyone. It's not just that. It's the technology, it's the privacy, it's the level of comfort that every woman deserves who's actually giving birth. And it's something that you really haven't been able to get on Staten Island. But at the same time, I'm really excited to be able to give both our patients and our providers a wonderful space that is commensurate with the kind of care they deliver. So that space is really about the experience. It's about what you should go through when you're actually having your child. Our new cancer center, the Florina Cancer Center, again, and a tremendous step forward for Staten Island. We provide amazing care, again, inside of our current cancer center. We were actually the first hospital-based outpatient infusion center in the city of New York when that place opened in the 90s. There was no such thing. And yet, all these years later, our PEDS center is still, 4 curtained off areas that we try to make kid-friendly and try to make those children feel comfortable, but it's just not what our providers and what our patients deserve. So again, buildings don't treat people, people treat people, but people do deserve the right to take care of their patients and give them a level of service and a level of comfort and a level of technology, right, that you can't provide in some of these dated spaces. So to be able to bring those into the modern age is really, really important, but they don't stand alone. This is going to continue to be a process. And we really, really look forward to a period where we'll be able to modernize everything that our patients touch in Staten Island University Hospital. It'll take time, but that's where we're going.
And we have to build all these programs together. They all work together, from our bread and butter medicine that we deliver to the specialty care.
Yep.
It really has been an exciting year to see what we have done and to anticipate what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of this with me today.
Yep.
Thank you, Staten Island.
HealthWish wishes to thank our very special guests, Dr. Brahim Ardolic and Dr. Nicole Berwald, as well as our wonderful hosts at the must-see Staten Island Museum. We're very interested in your health wish. Contact us at healthwish@northwell.edu. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again soon.